Welcome to using the Fierce Conversations model. I'm MJ Abell. This model is a roadmap for opening a challenging conversation in a productive way, so you state the issue clearly and work toward a solution. We will start with what it means to be fierce, as defined by Susan Scott in her book, Fierce Conversations. We will spend most of our time on the 7 steps of the Fierce Conversation model. We will wrap up with ways to practice and build your confidence in using the model. This content is adapted from Fierce Conversations by Susan Scott. She is a best-selling author and thought leader in the global business community. Susan and her company, Fierce Inc., are committed to individual and collective success through skillful, authentic conversations. In her book, you'll find suggestions and models that are practical, easy to use, and can be applied immediately. People ask me if they have to be fierce in challenging conversations and what that means. Susan Scott says being fierce means being authentic, present, and real in day-to-day conversations. Real can be scary, she says, yet it is the unreal or missing conversations that are costly in terms of morale, engagement, and performance. As you gain experience and see results, your confidence and skill will grow. Fierce conversations are also about moral courage, clear requests, and taking action. Fierce conversations take time. The problem is, anything else takes longer. The Fierce Conversations model helps you open a conversation productively. In the first minute, you deliver key points of your message clearly and succinctly, and invite your partner to participate. You also avoid the common missteps of conversations where you are trying to change someone's behavior. I'll cover those missteps after we cover the model. These are the 7 steps in the Fierce Conversations model. I'll go through each step and share examples. Keep in mind the goal is not to develop a script that sounds unnatural or to memorize anything. Consider this a roadmap for getting the conversation started. It helps you share essential information so you and your conversation partner can move forward to a solution. At the end of this opening statement, no one has been attacked. The other person is invited to respond, and you are both positioned for a productive conversation. As you will see, this is a very flexible model. Let's get started. First, name the issue. What is the behavior or issue that is causing the problem and the area the behavior is affecting? If you have multiple issues, ask yourself, what is the core issue, the theme of most or all the issues with this individual? For instance, is it communication, accountability, respect? This step is very important. If you don't think ahead and find a way to clearly state the issue, the conversation will lack a central focus. You'll both end up lost and frustrated. Next, select a specific example that illustrates the behavior or situation you want to change. Keep it short. Be succinct. No long stories. If you share a list of examples, the other person's eyes may glaze over. They may shut down and begin building a defense or interrupt with excuses. If you have no example, you will lose credibility and make it easy to dismiss your concern. Next, describe your emotions about the issue. Why? Because emotions are personal. Telling someone what emotion their behavior evokes in you is sincere and disarming. You are letting the person know you are affected or concerned. You might express empathy, concern, frustration, or curiosity. Have you had the same conversation with a person multiple times? Consider a statement like this. I'm frustrated that we discussed this last month and you agreed to such and such, and here we are again. Here are some other ideas. I'm concerned about the feedback I've received. I want you to be successful here. This is about describing your emotions. You don't have to show them in the moment necessarily, such as showing anger or great frustration. In a situation where you feel this will not be effective because of the dynamics of the people or situation, you can skip it. Next, clarify why this issue is important. This crucial step is often missing in conversations. What is at stake can have various dimensions. What is at stake for the individual, for yourself, the team, the project, the customer, the university or organization, the family? What is at stake for your relationship? Susan Scott recommends using the words at stake since they have an emotional impact. Calmly and quietly saying, "Here's what's at stake," can be very powerful. This should not come across as a threat, but as a clarification of why this issue and this conversation are important. If you prefer, you can use the phrase, "Here's the impact." Next, identify your contribution to the problem. Before you confront another's behavior, it's essential to look at yourself. Ask yourself if you may have played any role in creating the problem. If you believe you didn't, skip this step. Otherwise, briefly acknowledge your contribution and say you intend to do something about it. No long confession is needed. Here are some examples. I contributed to this by not reviewing your priorities and due dates with you. I'll start doing that weekly or when a new project comes up. I should have let you know months ago how upset I was. Instead, I withdrew and our relationship deteriorated. I regret that. I realize you've been here 5 months. I should have brought this up sooner. Next, indicate your wish to resolve the issue. Use the word resolve. It shows this is not a termination or an ending. This step communicates good intent on your part. You want to find a solution and you value the relationship. This step can be key to empowering the person to engage in solving the issue. Consider restating the issue here as well. The benefit, you will come full circle, beginning and ending with absolute clarity about the topic on the table, the change you want to see. Last, invite the other person to respond. Note what has happened in the conversation so far. There has been no attack. You've shared a clear, succinct statement of the reality of this particular behavior or issue from one person's perspective. The other person has been reassured that the intent is to resolve the issue. You've invited the person to join the conversation. And the conversation has barely begun. You've done this in just 60 seconds. Here is a recap of those 7 steps. In case this model seems daunting, remember you have several options. Describing your emotions is optional. If you didn't contribute to the problem, you can skip that step as well. You also have flexibility in the order of the steps. Some people like to open the conversation with step 6, indicating a wish to resolve the issue. For instance, "Sharon, do you have a few minutes to talk? There's something I'd like us to work on together. I've noticed." Here's a short version of the Fierce Conversation steps with sample phrases. This is also in your participant guide. As I mentioned at the outset, the goal is not to develop a script that sounds unnatural or to memorize anything. Be yourself. Consider this a roadmap for getting the conversation started in a way that is authentic, present, and real. This model helps you share essential information clearly so you and your conversation partner can move forward toward a solution. Next, I'll share examples using this model so you can see it used in a conversational way. Then I'll share an easy change to make when the conversation is with a person above you. Imagine this conversation with a student athlete who is not engaging in tutoring. I'd like to talk with you about your engagement in tutoring this semester. I've heard and read reports that you are not coming to tutoring prepared, not engaging in the session, and are consistently late. I have concerns that you are not using your support effectively. I feel like you're wasting time and resources that were put in place to help you be successful. Not only is your academic success in jeopardy here, but so is your eligibility if you're not successful in the classroom. We discussed tutoring at the beginning of the term, but maybe I didn't explain the importance and benefits thoroughly. If there is any kind of issue with your tutors not helping you, we can discuss that too. I would like to see you engaged and working with your tutors to be more successful academically. I'd like you to be on time every time and prepared for your sessions. You should bring all your materials to a session and be ready to work. How do you feel about tutoring and how it can help support you academically? Imagine that one of the tutors you supervise is having personal conversations with students. Tom, tutor, I'd like to talk with you about some personal interactions I've witnessed with some of your students that don't follow our protocol. I overheard you exchanging stories about being out this weekend on High Street with your tutees. This is frustrating because we stress in tutor training that this is not appropriate behavior. It's important to have good professional relationships with your students, but being overly social and friendly can lead to infractions. When relationships get casual, there's a tendency to relax the rules and standards that are in place. Maybe we should have discussed this more at length during tutor training to be sure everyone understood the potential impact of tutors and students being too friendly. I want to resolve this before it results in issues for you or for your students. What are your thoughts? Are there things I'm not aware of here? Let's move now to conversations with power differentials. In these cases, think what soft opening would be most strategic, most effective, then draw from the Fierce Conversations model. This approach helps you build rapport and start on a positive note. You could mention common ground or a mutual goal. You could show appreciation. Imagine if someone appreciated you for your insight or how you handled something. We often overlook opportunities to thank someone or share a positive observation. Another soft opening is showing commitment or enthusiasm. In contrast to these soft openings, if you know the other person prefers communication that is strictly direct and fact-based, start there. For instance, I want to clear the air about what happened earlier this week. In this first example, using a power differential, an employee is seeking help from their manager. I know you want us to come to you when we hit a snag. Can we talk? I just heard Emma isn't coming back as early as she expected, and I'm not going to have all the grants qualified and ready for review by the Friday deadline without her help. I have 60 more grants to go, and I plan for her to do at least 20 of them. I would like your help in finding someone to help or renegotiating our deadline. I'm sorry I didn't train a backup for Emma since our schedule is so tight. Let's talk about our best strategy for getting the grants out for review. I appreciate being able to think this through with you. In this example, a professional who feels micromanaged or underutilized is seeking more autonomy. This person opens the conversation with appreciation. I really value the mentoring you gave me when I joined your team. You took the time to describe our clients' needs and our processes in detail. That was so helpful in getting a strong start here. Now that I've been through several cycles of our work, I would like to have more independence, yet still provide the detail you want about my progress. What if we discuss our strategy in advance and I have the first meeting with the client on my own? We'll debrief afterwards, of course. This will help me grow in my role and still provide the information you need. It might also free up some time for you for the new projects. I enjoy working here and value your expertise. I'm sure we can find a balance that works where I can use more of what I've learned here with our clients. What do you think? Here's another way to use the fierce conversation model. It isn't limited to conversations with individuals. You can use it to open a conversation with a group. In this example, a leader follows this model to open a conversation about budget cuts. They acknowledge the situation and try to move the group forward. As you read through this example, see if you can identify the fierce conversation keyword for each part of the conversation. With the fierce conversation model, you avoid the most common missteps in confronting someone about their behavior. So how's it going is a perfectly fine way to open an exploratory conversation. It's not an effective focused start, however, for a conversation where you need to confront someone about a behavior. Also, if you often use, "So how's it going?" to open challenging conversations, the other person will sense a hidden agenda. In the sandwich approach, you begin with a compliment, slip in the real message, then tidy up with another compliment or words of encouragement. The downside? People can get paranoid if you use this style often. When you praise them, they will be waiting to see what the problem is. Another downside? They can miss the message. They may leave remembering only the praise. Conversations of praise are important, but keep them separate, focused, and clear. Don't use praise as a lead-in to confrontation. When you use too many pillows, you soften the message to lessen the impact and avoid hurting anyone's feelings. Replace pillows with clear requests. Writing their script is when you run both sides of the conversation in your head, usually multiple times. I'll say this and he'll say that. I'll say this, then I know she'll do that. You can get so locked into the responses you're expecting that when someone responds differently in the actual conversation, you don't notice. Also, if you run negative scenarios through your head in advance, over and over, it can make you steel your body and your words can come out cold or menacing. By delaying the conversation and writing their script, you can also waste a lot of time and energy. It's more productive to be yourself, be fully present, and have the conversation. And last, we have Machine Gun Kelly. Bring on the heavy artillery. Here you run in the room, hurl the message, then duck and run. You don't really have the conversation. Now it's up to you to practice what you've learned. Use the paper strips to draft an opening statement. If you cut them out, you can start on any step and rearrange the order to suit your style and situation. Practicing the fierce conversation model, even just parts of it, helps you get it in your bones. Then if a difficult conversation comes up in the moment, the keywords are more likely to come to mind. The issue and an example, your emotion or concern, the stakes or impact, your contribution, your wish to resolve the issue. Even if you only cover a few of these angles, you will be off to a better start. Don't overlook opportunities to practice this model or parts of it for situations outside of work, such as returning something, chores at home, or setting a new family schedule as the school year starts or ends. Good luck with your upcoming conversations. Please reach out if I can answer any questions. Thank you.